Hi, it's Nicole for Bella Blvd, and today I'm going to be cutting into the My Life 365, specifically the May portion. I am using a free sketch from Sketch Support. It will be linked below down in the description box. If you follow me on my own channel or social media, you guys know I love sketches. Now, because I know that I'm gonna more than likely be using this collection throughout my year on the Bella Blvd design team, I knew that I was not going to want to dig through all of this the next time that I have an assignment with this. So this is something that I learned years ago from another crafty friend, is to just get out some inexpensive cardstock and put a little bit of adhesive on the back of everything and create a little bit more manageable home for all these pieces. Now, if I was just doing this for personal projects, I would mix the ephemera words with the ephemera images and just have a page for January, a page for February, that type of thing. Only because I need to reference supplies for design team projects and stuff, I'm choosing to keep mine separate. Like I said, if you decide to do this, I would just go ahead and mix them together. So I went through both packs of die cuts, split everything up so that every single time I pull this collection out, it's saving me from having to dig through all of that stuff. So here you can see this sketch over here is from Sketch Support, which is from Allison Davis over at Scrapbook Generation. I believe this one is number 39, and I'm using the original sketch. They do sell an extra PDF where there's modifications to the sketches, so like a single to a double to a single, more photos, less photos, that type of thing. I am using the original sketch. The first thing that I did was I cut the strips off of this paper here. I'm not going to end up using these. I think I had in my mind that I was going to modify the sketch, and we're going to see here in a minute. I just did not like the modification that I made. I think I was just really loving that basic sketch. I kept going back to it and looking at the modifications that I made, and I just really wasn't liking it. And I think that this is something that can happen when you're using sketches, and my advice is to follow your mood. Like, if you're not liking the original sketch, make the modifications. If you don't like your modifications, go back to whatever it is on that sketch that you fell in love with to begin with. So like here, I thought that using a border punch was going to kind of speed up the process, or just kind of make everything a little bit more like lined up. I even went through and I used a branding strip, and I marked my punch because I wanted those scallops to be centered across the paper. And I'm gonna go through and punch my layers. Now, that original sketch has these like really big scallops. So the modification that I first started here was shrinking those scallops down and adding like more. I think in a different application, I would have liked this better. I was thinking that I could make more strips by making them smaller, and then I could add in like the phrases and stuff like that and just kind of fill it in. So here you can kind of see I'm starting to line things up. And this is about the point where I'm like, it's okay, but I don't love it. So I went to my stash of old tools that I keep around, and they get pulled out every once in a while. These are some really old templates, but they had really big scallops. So I went ahead and traced it with a pencil, did some old school fussy cutting, and I think I just started with 1 or 2 here, and I was like, yes, this is what is not working for my brain. And I think it's because when I was looking for sketches and cruising through the free sketch options, I think those large scallops is what I fell in love with and what sparked the entire layout. So changing that kind of changed how I felt about the process. So I needed to go back to what sparked the initial interest. I did keep those punched strips, and I think I'm just going to try to figure out another layout to use them with. Basically, I'm keeping all of my Life 365 stuff together, and I'm sure there's going to be a point where I have an option to kind of pull the whole thing out and maybe mix and match some stuff together. I already want to try to find some time to do some month in review type stuff with this collection as well. I love any kind of like calendar type themed product, so month in review is always like an easy option for me. Here I am just kind of trying to figure out which patterns I want to use. I pulled in my favorite Bella Besties. I've got a Bella Bestie for my background. I'm mixing it in with the florals and the rainbow like diagonal stripe, which are from the Life 365, and they are from the papers that coordinate with the May section of the line. I think the florals are just really leaning into that like Mother's Day type theme that I'm kind of going with here. This was from I think it was like Muffins with Mom event at my daughter's school. And this was the like last Muffins with Mom event that I was going to after having kids go to that school for I think like 7 years across the two of them. So it was kind of bittersweet. And I usually try to go over to the little like photo op area that they have and get a photo with, in this case, it was my last kid. So here I am just kind of lining up all of those scallops, kind of really going back to that sketch to get all of my alignments up. And once I got all this down on the page, I was like, yes, I think the larger size scallops just kind of worked better with my photos being a little bit bigger, my title being a little bit bigger. This is from the, I think the title pack. So I'm going to use this to kind of blend in with my title. And then what I did was I went through the die cuts and the chipboard and pulled out anything that I thought I might use. This is something that I do a lot of the time is I will pull a bunch of stuff over to the side. I'm using my ruler to just kind of hold everything because it does have just a tiny bit of ATG on the back of all of this stuff. So they're kind of like stickers at this point. So I don't want them to like get lost on my desk or get stuck to my picture. This is a journaling template that I created to coordinate with this die from Hero Arts. I will link in the description box below where you can find the tutorial video for this. This is such a good hack for journaling strips and doing, like here you can see I have 3 layouts worth of journaling that I just went ahead and typed up at the same time and cut them all out at once, and I set the other 2 aside. Sometimes I tend to work on more than one layout at a time. I think this one in particular was part of like a batch of layouts where I got everything kind of to the point of if I was going to do hand stitching, I got everything prepped for hand stitching and kind of did it all at the same time. Now I went ahead and I've got foam adhesive behind my journaling strips. I'm going to tuck that little phrase sticker up there, and then I'm basically just going to kind of do like that traditional 3 area for embellishing just around my photos, keeping the attention on those photos. I think I have one of us sitting together at the table, and then the larger one is over in the little like photo prompt area where they always have like a not a banner, but you know what I mean, where it's like the big, not a sheet, blanking on the name. They'll have like balloons kind of up and around it, and then there's always like a thing on the back wall for like whatever holiday party they've got going on. And because the likelihood of me reaching for these florals, like probably not. So I want to use as many as I can on this. I don't think if I revisit this section of Life 365, I'm going to have another Mother's Day event. I think I would probably have like I said, May month in review. And to me, that kind of opens up any and all icons. So I do have some of the florals left. I ended up not using that little chipboard flower. So there are some left, but I just felt like mixing in a lot of these like medium and smaller size flowers worked really well. Now, I don't do this unless you like fiddly things, but I took the Bella Blvd alphabet stickers and I did put foam adhesive behind them so that they would pop up. It's very fiddly, it's very tedious. If you don't like doing that, don't do it. I always promote you do you. I just like to show, you know, how I got from point A to point B in my videos. The last thing that I'm going to do is the hand stitching, because I just did 2 rows at the top, 2 rows at the bottom that were depicted in the sketch, and this came out so quickly, so simple, and again, I think it was those really large scallops that just kind of drew my eye. Hindsight, I kind of wish I had taken the time to hand stitch around them, but in the end, I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you stick around and watch one of these suggested videos. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys soon. Bye!